All right, Wolfpack Nation, we are back, baby, for part 2 of our interview here with the new head softball coach, Lindsay Leftwich. If you haven't checked out part 1, make sure to go and do that first and foremost, and then come right back here so we could talk about her goals and aspirations for this program. So, Coach, I want to talk a little bit about something that maybe a lot of state fans don't really know, which is that this softball program is only heading into its 20th year as a program at NC State, as a softball program at NC State, which when you compare it to some of the other programs, elite programs in the country, is very, very young. And, looking at that, you're only our 4th ever head softball coach that we've ever had. And, you look at the opportunity here, you kind of mentioned earlier in part 1 about how competitive the ACC has become. And you also look at the fact that last year we were last place in the ACC, 6-18 overall in the ACC, that there's a lot of opportunity to leave a legacy and to really build a program here. But it's, with how good they see is, it's not going to get any easier. What are your kind of thoughts about, turning this program and making it, towards the top of the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a huge reason I took the job. Like, it was like, you can win here and you can be competitive in the ACC, and I think you can do it really fast. I think that just looking at NC State as a whole, like, you see the growth of women's athletics. And I think seeing that happen from an administration standpoint, and then the women's teams bolstering forward, that was so enticing. And that was hey, that you can do that, and NC State's going to care about that, and women's athletics matters. And you can't say that everywhere in the country, at all. And so that was a huge part of this. And then on top of that, I was like, I can win there, and I can be successful there. And there's no reason that NC State shouldn't be in the conversation to be fighting for, a conference championship.
Amen.
We should play in a regional every year. We should be in a super. We should be winning 45 games. Those are things that matter. And I think that those are things that are really, really possible here at NC State. And it made me want to jump on it right away. I think Navi put us on the map back in the day. I think Navi's an incredible coach. She's doing some really cool things with Team Puerto Rico right now. She's an assistant down in South Florida. And I think that she built this place from nothing, and then now I get to benefit from that. And I think that's awesome. And I just think that the rest of the ACC growing can only help me. It can only help the bottom of the ACC. Rising tides raise all boats, right? And the better they are, and the more competitive they are, then that means we have to be more. But then it also means that people want to come play in the ACC. And I think Florida State did a great job of that a couple years ago when, we were the ones playing them in Super at LSU over and over again. But I think they did a great job of making people realize that the ACC isn't what it used to be. The ACC isn't just this basketball, conference, and that we can fight for some things. And I think that, people aren't just looking at the softball conference as oh, it's just in the SEC. It's just all those things. And so there's no reason that we shouldn't say why not us? And that's what I wanted to do here for sure.
Yeah. Amen. So obviously you had a lot of success with LSU, making multiple College World Series. How do you bring that championship mindset to NC State?
I think it just starts with all the little things, right? I think, yes, we're going to dream big, and we're going to think about being in the College World Series, about winning a regional, about winning the ACC. We're going to dream it and work for those things every day, But I think that for us right now, it starts with one, we have to be great teammates, and two, we have to understand work. Everyone, the big cliche thing that everyone says is everyone wants to be great until it's time to do what greatness requires, right? And I think that that's a huge part of us. I think these kids want to be great, and I think that then they have to figure out how do I make the choices to do what greatness requires? Everyone talks about things so many times as sacrifices, oh, well, I have to sacrifice time with my friends, or I have to sacrifice this. I don't think it's a sacrifice at all. I think it's an active choice. Playing in the College World Series isn't a sacrifice. So I'm going to make choices along the way to have this great thing. And so I think that it starts with learning and understanding and growing them in a way that makes them choose those choices little by little. And then when you start to stack good things, all of a sudden you get to stack great days, and the great days turn into great conference series, and great conference series turns into a great run of March or whatever it is. And then next thing you know, you stacked all these little things and you're playing in June when it matters. And and I think that takes time. I think it takes time to build that and for players to understand that, and then for it to trickle down and it be player led in that space. But I mean, that'll be our biggest focus from the get go is how do we stack all of these things in order to for the result to just be the result. It's just the thing that happens because we worked hard in all of these other spaces and then great things happened. And on that same note, like talking about building great people and loving them well and doing all of that, I really want them to understand too that like as much as softball is a part of who we are, it's not 100% who they are, and that just because they had a bad day at practice doesn't make them a bad person, that they're worthy on so many other levels. And I think that like that gets lost in all of this too. People are so excited about, oh, you're a new coach and you're going to win and you're going to do all these things, and like we're going to not win sometimes, and we're going to fail in some spots, but like you're still good, like you're still a great kid and you're still a great player and you're still all these things. And like I think that matters, and I think the more that they understand their own worth, I think the more you see it on the field too.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know for, us, Coach Left, which we always talk about, what it takes to turn around a program. Like, like right now we've, seen what Coach Dorn has done, with football, where, he's slowly kind of turned the reins, bringing in the right guys, taking the guys to the next level, winning those big games, and then eventually being able to get to where we are, being a 8-9 win per year, football team. And then with basketball, what we've seen a lot is, I mean, a new coach can come in from year one and just bring in the right transfers, and then boom, like top 25 NCAA tournament, you name it. And so kind of tell me in terms of with softball. I mean, I know that obviously you don't even have enough time or couldn't necessarily just turn around, they'll turn over the whole roster, in a month. But I mean, like, so what is the typical, time that it takes? I mean, we went 6-18 in the conference last year. I mean, the AC is not going to get any easier. So, I mean, what should state fans kind of expect? Like, what will the road more likely look like? What's your expectation for it?
I mean, my expectation is that we win. And that we win a lot. I think it will happen. I think, people talk about, oh, you got to bring in your own players and you got to do all these things. Like I can dream all I want about the kids I've been recruiting for the last however many years that are coming in the 25 class or a transfer from the transfer portal or whatever. Like at the end of the day, I have to coach the team that I have. Amen. And I have to love the team that I have. And I think that in this whole idea of the transfer portal, I think that gets lost a little bit. I think there's some really specific reasons that some people transfer. And I think that there's some kids that need fresh starts or want to be closer to home, or like Jordy Ball wins 2 national championships and goes back to Nebraska. Like, I think there's some cool reasons that it can happen, but I don't think that I should rely on my team being good solely because I go to the transfer portal. I think I have to develop my own players. I think I have to love my own players. I think I have to make them good. And so everyone talks about like bringing in your own people. Like these are my people. Amen. Like these 24 are my people, and we're gonna be great, and we're gonna do what we can. I think it should happen. It can happen fast. I think we're gonna have some bumps in the road because we gotta learn how to fight, and we gotta learn how to win in those spots, and we gotta learn how to be tied with Clemson in the 7th and figure out how to finish it, and I think that we're missing that a little bit. But at the end of the day, like there's some players on this team that are good. Like we had multiple kids hit double-digit home runs last year. There's 2 kids on the mound that throw above 70. Like they almost won 20 games with no coaching staff. Like these players are good, and so we just need to develop them, and we need to understand how what fight looks like. Like I think there's going to be a balance of me learning what needs to happen. Like how do you decide, like can we sacrifice some skill acquisition on this day because we need more team building, because we need to learn how to fight better, because we need to compete better, or is this week all skills because like we need to develop more in this place. Like I think that will be a balance throughout the entire year, but at the end of the day, like sure, maybe we're not winning 45 games this year, but why not? Like we're there. This team is not bad. If you look back, 2021, like that team was freaking good. You had Estelle on the mound. You had a good core of these players that are on the team now that were swinging it. Like the team, the player for player, like skill wise, they're not bad. they're really really competitive in a lot of spots. So now they have to learn how to compete through some of this hard stuff. And we got to learn how to catch up to some of the things that Florida State is doing really well, or Duke is doing really well along the way.
Yep.
And I think we can be in the fight and in the conversation a lot sooner than some other programs across the country.
Well, and you kind of mentioned about 2021. I honestly thought you were going to talk about, so, that year was a kind of a big year for the program because we signed the 4th overall recruiting class in the country, highlighted by 6 top 100 players, which I'm sure that, through obviously the coaching change and things like that we probably don't have some of those anymore. But I'm sure of all the players that we do have, that there's still probably some there on the roster as well. Kind of like you were saying, I mean, there's a lot of skill in that team for sure. But the one thing which I wanted to kind of ask you about, with the previous coaching staff, the one, phrase that went through our heads a lot was the home run mindset, about, home run focused. And so I want to kind of ask you, what's your overall offensive philosophy? I mean, would you say you're more of a small ball coach, or, I mean, would you be more focused on the home run guys? I mean,
I love a good home run. Like, I love a jack. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I think it changes the ball game. I
Yeah.
think in our park, a jack on the defensive side also changes a ball game. Our park isn't exactly large. It's very short in some spots, and so I don't think we have to try and lift to get the ball out here. I think you got to try and find the best barrel that you can find, and you got to get your best swing off. That's the offense that I want to run. Is like, I want to attack balls in our strength and get our best swing off as often as possible. In your brain, you're thinking, if I can't hit this ball out of the yard, then I shouldn't be swinging. But it doesn't mean it's going to go out of the yard. Like, I don't think that I don't think we have to try and sit and lift at all to hit a ton of home runs at home. Like, I don't think we have to try and sit and lift to hit a ton of home runs in half of the ACC. UNC plays small, Duke plays small, Pitt plays small, we play small. Like, we can do a ton of damage in those spots. And then, when we go to places like Florida State and Clemson and Virginia Tech, like, especially with the kind of pitching they have on the mound, we got to hit doubles. We got to steal more bases. I would like my offense to be very balanced in that space. I want to run like crazy. I want to stretch things into doubles as much as we can. We're going to bunt and squeeze when we can and do those things. And then when we have people on base, then we're going to try and hit the ball of the yard. I think that, like, I don't want to lose a whole bunch of 1-run ball games because all we tried to do was lift. That being said, the Swifts were great at creating power. So this team has an unbelievable base of, like, what can happen in a swing in that spot, and now I would just like to develop their offensive attack differently, like their plan, like what pitches we're hunting, how we're preparing them. I think you can beat a ton of people solely by how you prepare, and the things that you choose to focus on and the pitches that you choose to hunt. And so, I think that, like I said before, this team has some unbelievable skill.
Yep.
I would just like to develop them as, their offensive brains more.
Yeah. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out. And kind of talking about some of the, the big moves, which I've loved over the last month, obviously we could talk about, your young assistant coach you hired from Indiana, which is great for sure. But I mean, I got to focus on talking primarily, about Paige Cassidy and Mike Bosch, to me, when I saw the news and learning about these two, I mean, Mike Bosch specifically being a former Virginia Tech head coach, I'm like, wow, like that's awesome to have, on your staff, having some of that experience. But then, just like you said, Paige Cassidy, and I mean, all the amazing words you had to say about her, pitching, during your time coaching her at FIU, and what she's done in her previous, job as well. Like, I mean, to me, it seems like 2 home run, hires. I mean, like, kind of talk to me in terms of, I mean, did you have a list of coaches that you were going after, or I mean, like, and like, what was kind of the conversation like with Mike and Paige, and were they easily coming over to Raleigh?
Yeah, I think I wasn't willing to do this without the people I wanted. Like I
Mm,
was like I watched my friends around the country who are head coaches like struggle to find people that they fit with, or to
yeah.
struggle to find pitching coaches right off the bat. Like finding a pitching coach that you can afford and is talented and is experienced that you can keep on staff is one of the hardest things to do in the country. Every summer everyone is fighting over the best pitching coaches that are out there. And so
Mm.
before I even went on the interview, I called Paige and I was like, "If I
Oh,
do
wow.
this, are you coming?" And she was like, "Absolutely." Like,
Oh, that's awesome.
she's from the East Coast. Her parents moved back to Florida. She spent a ton of time at Liberty. Her husband's from this side of the country, and so she was like, as much as she loved her time at Texas Tech, she was more than willing to come. And then just our previous relationship made that a really easy choice for her. And so like that, I made that decision like the moment I even stepped on campus was, if I take this job, I'm going to do everything I can to steal Paige. Um,
Love it.
and that was a huge part of just in general, like having someone there that you trust. I also, you know, Beth has put out a lot of pitching coaches in her time, like in my time with her. I mean, Alabama, geez, Ole Miss, Grand Canyon, Boise, UNCW, like that five right there just on one hand. And then Paige,
Yeah.
like there's all of the best, some of the best pitching people in the country have come from us. And,
Mm,
and Paige is the most like Beth of all of them. All of them have great skills, but Paige, from a philosophy standpoint and from just a personality standpoint, is the most like Beth. And so that was like really comforting to me to be like, I can get somebody that is going to be so much like what I know I've been getting every day for the last 16 years. And somebody that I trust. And, you know, it was just in a spot where I thought that like she could really help make me better.
yeah.
You know, she was the associate head coach at Liberty for a long time. She helped start that program at Liberty. And so she's seen a first time head coach in Dot Richardson and kind of helped grow her. And then Craig Snyder at Texas Tech, it was his first year as a head coach too. And Paige was right there in the middle of it, you know. And so I thought that was like a great jumping off spot for me, because she would
Hmm.
be like, hey, like, Craig really did this and this is what worked. Or, you know, Dot struggled with this and this is what we did, because she's just lived it, you know,
Right.
just different experiences. Um, so like my goal in both spots was to get people with experience.
Yeah.
Like I could have, I had a lot of choices, but I wanted to make sure I could find people that still allowed me to be good at what I'm good at, you know. And like
Amen.
I'm really great at the skills. Like I'm great at like coaching the little things, which in being the boss, a lot of head coaches lose that, because you
Yeah.
get so
Yep.
busy trying to oversee your whole program that you lose the ability to like get dirty it like every day in those spaces. And so I wanted to make sure I could bring people in that would allow me to still be good at that, because like the skills is probably definitely where I make my money. Like that's
Amen.
like in the
Hmm.
development of people. And then you know, so then the same thing kind of came with Mike. Mike was he was the head coach at Syracuse for a couple 4 or 5 years before he ended up at Florida. And then
Uh,
previous to that, he was the head coach at Iowa Community College. While he was at Iowa, he also taught like advanced calculus or something. He's like
oh,
Rain
cool.
Man.
Nice.
He's like a genius. And
Nice.
so in hiring him, that was huge. Like just somebody who, one, had been around the ACC for a long time, but then somebody who's sat in this chair, and somebody who has like who understands the conversations and some of the hard pieces that have to happen. And Mike,
Yep.
because of the way he thinks and the way he functions, he's so different than me. And
Hmm.
I thought that that was really important, to not go get somebody that was just like me. And he's very to the point. He's super clinical, and like he can separate the emotion of wins and losses, or the emotion of relationships, and say like, this is what needs to be done. And
Yeah.
I really needed that, like,
Yep.
because I'm the emotional one. Like I'm the one with the juice. It's
Right.
just what I've always
Hmm.
been. And so I really felt like I needed somebody who would be even, and
Yeah.
like not
Hmm.
ride this wave of like winning and losing, or like struggling through development, or in building a new program. And he was an easy choice. And then on top of the fact,
Yeah.
like I said, he's a super genius when it comes to like analytics and understanding and breaking down data and looking at scouting. He's unbelievable at it. So in turn, he can oversee all of that. And then again, I still get to be good at what I'm good at. I get to be good at the skills,
Yep.
because so
Yep.
many times that's such a hard balance. Like how much do we focus on preparing to play Florida State or Pitt or whoever, and then how much do we focus on just being great at NC State softball? There's like such a hard balance in that. So if Mike is kind of overseeing how we beat those people, I still get to make sure we're good at NC State softball, you know. And so that was like such an easy choice for me. And I think people were surprised that I hired Mike. I think they're like, oh, you ain't got 2 pitching people, but he just did the pitching at Florida. He actually was a head coach for 16 years. And so like
Right.
he can do everything.
Yeah.
And so between him and Paige together, it's a whole lot of experience on a staff with somebody who's a first-time head coach. And I thought that was really important in just like the ability to push us forward faster.
Amen.
Yeah. I mean,
And
with
you
how
know, to kind of
data,
oh, go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to say, with how data-driven sports is, it seems like a pretty good idea to have a literal genius on your staff.
He's
Yeah.
actually a genius. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, Coach, you know, we're going to kind of move into a little bit of the fun section here to wrap this up here. But the first question, which I wanted to ask, is I know you've only been to Raleigh a couple of times. Have you had an opportunity to meet any of the other NC State coaches yet?
I have in person. I've met. I met volleyball on my interview. I met a lot of coaches on my interview, but so that was really fast.
Cool.
But I've spent some time with the gymnastics coach. Her office is right down the hall from mine, and so that's been like a really cool environment. And then we've done a bunch of stuff with volleyball. Like we did a little welcome back picnic for the freshmen and some things like that. And so that's been nice just to sit with some of the support staff. And then Coach Avent was unbelievable. Just when I got hired, he was like one of the first people to pick up the phone and call me and be like, hey, what do you need? How can I help you? But then on top of that, like I brought Peyton on campus and I texted him and I'm like, hey, like, are you around? Can you come like tell this kid why it's great to live in Raleigh, because you've obviously done it for a long time. And like he was in my office right away. And he had this great spiel of why you should come and be a part of the Wolfpack. And it was like it sold me. Like I wanted to say yes again, and so that was so cool. But just because like he's been in Raleigh for forever. And so for him to be able to sit down not only with me, but then with Peyton in that place and be like, hey, like, this is why you should love this place. Like, it was awesome. And so every head coach has reached out to me and they've all just been like, whatever you need, like, come on. And I believed it. Like, it wasn't just like they sent me this one liner. It was like, they sent me like a pretty long text that was like, hey, like, this is who I am. This is what we're doing. Tell me what you need help with and we'll make it happen. And so that's been really cool.
I love it. Okay, cool. Now, kind of getting the fun part here. So I know you've only been, the head coach in state for about a month now, but I'm assuming, through your couple times being at state, through research that you've probably have learned a couple of things about NC State over your month. Would I be correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to ask some basic NC State questions and let's see how you do. And
okay, here we go.
But if you don't get it, don't worry. Maybe you'll just be like, okay, well, I need to learn. I'm curious. Within a month, let's see how you're doing. You know what I mean? So
okay. I mean, I've only been in Raleigh for like 7 days total. So,
exactly.
Okay.
And these are very. And again, we start easy, and then we'll see kind of because they go from easy to hard. So we'll kind of see where we go here. So
I'm ready.
First question is the easiest one. You've already answered it. Who is our most hated rival out there?
Oh, the people in blue down the road.
Come
on.
on. Easy enough.
We're not even going to say their name.
Exactly. Oh, I love you, Coach. Yeah. All right. Anyway. All right. So there's a lot of talk about this man and Jim Valvano right now with his famous SB speech that I'm sure every person, especially athletes, have heard before. And I'm sure you have heard as well. What are 3 things that he famously said that we should do every day of our lives?
Never give up.
Not quite. We should.
It's the other half.
We gotta think. We gotta laugh, and we gotta cry.
Oh, okay. I know that speech too.
Every day.
I know that too.
You must think, spend some time in thought. Yeah, go ahead.
I have the shirt from the foundation. It says "Never give up," doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. No. That's his main quote. For sure.
Okay,
but just to me, that's always been a part that I was.
List them again.
So every day you gotta spend some time in thought. You gotta. Every day you should laugh every day, and then you should be moved to tears every day. You should think, laugh, and you cry. And if you do those things every day, that's a heck of a day per his quote. So
I love it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So what is the name of the live NC State mascot?
Tuffy.
Let's go. And bonus points. Do you know what Tuffy we're on right now? Bonus points.
7.
Ooh, no, not quite.
No.
We're on 3, right? Right, Michael?
Okay, 3.
3. Yeah.
3.
No, I like it.
Maybe we were on 7. We were on 7. Mike the Tigers, maybe.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was going to mention.
Older.
That's what I was going to mention. And do you know the name of the homemade NC State ice cream brand?
Ooh, the Howling Cow.
Ooh,
Nice.
there you go, Coach. Have you tried it yet?
I did. I had some. What's the name of the student union?
Tally.
Yeah. I had some in Tally. It is delicious.
Yeah, it is the best. It's unbeatable. Cool. And then again, you've been on campus 7 days, so I'm sure you've probably seen it. I'm sure somebody's probably pointed out to you. What is the famous Italian restaurant on Western Boulevard?
We took Peyton there for her visit.
Okay, cool.
It starts with an A.
Yes, it does.
Adeo's something.
Close. Amedio's.
Oh, Medios. Yes.
Amedio's.
I sat in the baseball booth.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You love that.
I feel like I need my own booth now. How do I make this happen?
Oh, I can put you in touch, Dave. He would love to make it happen. Like, yeah.
Tell Dave to call me. Let's go.
Well, because he'll tell you he has strict criteria that, like, if you are on the wall, that, like, you have to have met certain criteria, like whether that's players or whatever.
I need to know what I need to check off the list.
Yeah.
Which I mean, for you, I mean, just being the head coach, I'm sure we can put you. But in terms of players,
I think that may get you there. But
there's a bar. So yes, no, I'll get Dave to reach out to you 100%.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so near the Tally Student Center, there is a place where students are allowed to paint or spray paint or do things such as drawings, advertise some more. What's the name of this place?
Free speech tunnel, graffiti tunnel, something in a tunnel. I have walked through it.
Free expression tunnel. Yes.
Dang it, I was so close.
Close.
I'll give you both of them so far. You've basically had it. So I'll give that to you 100%. Okay. All right. And then can you name 3 famous NC State alumni? And they could be players.
I don't know if I can.
Okay. Can you name one? Maybe.
No? I know the baseball player.
Sport.
Trey Turner.
Okay, there we go. I like it.
Cool. That's all I got though.
Well, and again, you'll definitely learn those for sure. Again, whether it's Phillip Rivers, Russell Wilson, T.J. Warren with basketball. I
knew Russell Wilson too. Totally knew that.
Yeah. No, hey, all good.
Wisconsin tries to claim him sometimes, but
don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a picture of him with the puppy.
Well, yeah. And Mr. Sierra. So, so anyway, well, no, sorry. Mr. Sierra, I mean, he's married to Sierra. Russell Wilson is, sorry. But yeah, anyway, not the name of the dog. Sorry. All right. And then this is the hardest one. And I would be shocked if you knew this. So shocked.
Yeah.
What were the original school colors for the university when it first opened?
I got nothing.
All right, cool.
Navy?
That's fine. Well, I mean, you're not far off. Pink and blue, believe it or not.
Shut up. That's so fun.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. It didn't last long, but it was fun to start.
Where did that come from?
I think if I remember the research correctly, it was like our liberal arts union at the time decided to come up with it. But if I'm not mistaken, I think the history goes that again, we have a guy named Tim Peeler who is like an NC State historian. He knows everything about NC State history that has ever existed in over 100 years. And if I'm not mistaken, the history goes that 2 football players basically created what's it called? Like a bunch of people signed it, basically saying like we want to change the school colors. A petition, yeah, signed a petition to change the school colors, and eventually students decided on red and white. So and it's stuck ever since. Okay. So that's the history behind it. But first of all, Coach, bravo, not bad at all.
Okay. Yeah, pretty good.
Hey, listen, I've interviewed like current players that don't know what Howling Cow is. I'm like, how do you not know what Howling Cow is? It is a staple. so bravo to you, Coach. You did an amazing job. And again, you've only been here for a month, only been on campus 7 days. Great job. So first of all, Coach, I want to say thank you so much again. Really do appreciate you coming on. It has been an honor. It's been a lot of fun. really enjoyed it, and definitely hope that recruiting goes well. Hopefully you can get some coals in the fire and bring some future AC champions to rally with you. But either way, looking forward to seeing you as a head coach for this season, and we will be there 100%. And I'm telling all the fans out there listening to this right now that you need to join us and be there to support these girls. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, y'all. Make sure, again, to go support these girls. Again, go follow them if you already on Twitter at Pack Softball. And then for us, again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you enjoyed this conversation, if you love NC State softball, hit that like button. Give us a follow. Tuffy Talk now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. With that being said, we'll see y'all soon, and go Pack, y'all.
Go Pack.
Perfect, Coach.